From the Kingdom of Ashmore in the west to the Tilian Ruins in the east, Eden is a world of mystery, machines, and magic. Humans, Saurians, and many other creatures live in harmony. But an evil sorceress, Lady MaryWeather, threatens to destroy Eden's peace. There are those who would fight to keep the land free and from harm. There are those that will become defenders of Eden. The world of Eden is a place of wonder and magic. Across the land live many different races, from both primitive and advanced civilizations. In the northern hemisphere, the Nokerrans now strive to unite the adult and save the kingdom from those who would enslave and destroy its people. Those who have sworn to defend Eden and the freedom it provides. The Usurpers are those who would steal, conquer, and otherwise jeopardize this beautiful world and its resources. They are the Armies of Ashmore. Regal and honorable, Vasapo serves his kingdom by protecting the palace of Ashmore, using his plates as defense and spear as offense. They protect not only the palace inhabitants, but common Saurians as well. He is not afraid of stepping out of his comfort zone and traveling with General Saurians on missions away from Ashmore. Do not let his beauty trick you. Vasapo is a deadly warrior.
Hey guys, welcome back to another action figure review. Before we jump into today's review, I want to quickly do a throwback on the General Saurians figure here, because after the video, Justin over at Action Figure Minute, great channel, you guys should check it out. He actually showed me that I had the headpiece wrong, and that's why it was falling off so easily. So how I had the headpiece was over the top of the horn, basically like this, protecting the forehead, like a little diadem, or like a skull cap. That's how I thought it was supposed to go on, and the look kind of fits. But apparently, you're supposed to have it over his face. So rather than going above the horn, you have to have this under the horn, directly over the bridge of the nose, and then these two little grooves on the side will actually clip right onto the horn. So it's supposed to sit like this. And when you have it like this, you can even lift it up like it's flipping up the visor or something, right? This way, it's not going to fall off so constantly. So thanks, Justin at Action Figure Minute. It's awesome when at least one of us know what he's doing. So now let's jump into today's main subject: Vasapo, the Royal Guard.
For blood and glory, and Johnny Tiger!
At least in the case of Vasapo here, there's no confusion about the way this helmet's supposed to go on. I mean, it's basically the same shape at the top of his head. There's a hole on the top of his head, and there's a little peg at the inside the helmet. And you just line this up at the top of his head, and of course, now that I say it's easy, it's not going to do it. But there we go. line it up with the top of the head, and then press down and go to fit. Of course, having a hole there means that when you don't have the helmet there, he's going to have a little hole at the top of his head. But I think most of the time you're not going to be looking at the figure from above, so that's not that big of a deal. It really is not that noticeable anyway. So as you guys can see, I got Vasapo here already kitted out in full gear, minus the shoulder pad, the pauldron. Now, in a little bit, when I show you guys the posing photo, you'll see that I actually have the pauldron on, just to show that yes, you can have the pauldron on him with even with this bulky breastplate and all these backplates, but it is a cumbersome look, honestly, and because General Saros already have that style of pauldron, so I personally prefer to have Vasapo without the pauldron, just to give them a kind of a different profile, different look, because they are built on the same ogre scale, ogre scale. I can't even talk today. Ogre scale body. So other than the different chest armor, different head, they're basically identical. So I'm not going to talk too much about it because most of the things that I can say about this body I already mentioned in the general Ceros review. But I do want to say that this design is really cool. Right? Not only that this is a tribute to Joe Vasapolo of Four Horsemen Studio, that alone is a really cool little Easter egg, right? And then we got a Stegosaurus. Now, throughout action figure history, if I asked you to find Triceratops action figures and T Rex action figures, there's quite a few representation, right? But if I want to ask you to find the Stegosaurus warrior, that like other than the uh, Saurosauric uh, warriors by Boss Fight Studio that did a Stegosaur, I can think of another line. I'm not counting Transformers. Okay, I know there was a Stegosaurus in Transformers, but generally speaking, Stegosaur have been underrepresented in action figure form until now. Like this is a very cool way to do a Stegosaur warrior, in my opinion. I really love, especially the tail. My only gripe is the tail is a little short. Like this is one of those guys that I wish his tail was longer, so he can maybe use it as a weapon, right? Like one look at that tail, you don't want to get in the way of this, right? That is one deadly looking spiky Sagamiter. Um, but it's too short. Like he can he can't even scratch his own back with it. Like I feel that for this particular warrior, I would like to see a much longer tail to give him that uh, natural built-in weapon. I mean, the long spear is cool. I mean, and this is a cool-looking spear. Kind of make me feel that this would be an awesome tool for using to put meat on or roasting marshmallow. Like just look at this top section. How many branches there is here? Like, can you imagine how many pieces of meat you can just have on that at a company barbecue or something like that? Uh, but yeah, anyway, it is a very cool looking spear. But personally speaking, I would have preferred if he could use his tail as weapon as well. Now let's look at some posing photos before we come back, and I'm going to talk about the most annoying and disappointing feature of this action figure. Like the rest of the figures from Wave 1 of the Defenders of Eden Armies of Ashmore, Vasapo is built on this large hulking ogre-scale body. He stands about 8.5 inches tall, although that really depends on how you pose him. As I mentioned in the General Theros review, most of the time you're not going to pose these guys standing up fully straight upright, so that 8.5 inches is a little bit misleading. Anyways, Vasapo also comes with a unique chest plate, as he would have to, because there are 6 back plates that you have to install into the chest plate itself. He also comes with 3 pairs of hands, open hand, fisted hand, and weapon holding hand that have vertical hinges. He comes with a helmet, removable pauldrons that you probably most likely won't use, and a spear that is taller than he is. The spear can be split into 3 pieces for easy installation into his hand. Like General Theros, Vasapo's elbows and knees can barely bend. You'll be lucky if you can get 50 degrees out of them. Waist joint doesn't want to turn, however the head, neck, and chest joints do provide pretty expressive poses for this big boy. For customization, the head and tail can also be removed easily on this figure. So like I mentioned that this is basically built on the same body as all the rest of Wave 1 of the Armies of Ashmore. So we don't need to go over the body and lack of articulation and all that, because all that is the same. Okay, you get one of these guys, you know how all of them is going to move. They have the diagonal hinges on their weapon holding hand and horizontal hinges on the other hand and all that stuff, and the barely bending elbow and knees and all that stuff. You know how that works. And just like the other ones, Vasapo has great, relatively great movement for his head and neck. Uh, the neck joint that going into the base of the skull was kind of stuck on mine, so I couldn't really get it to move until I applied a serious amount of force and popped it free, and then now it's moving just fine, and he's able to move his head, left, right, up to a certain degree. Yeah, you can look up and then look down, and yeah, so all that is very standard, but there is one thing about this figure that really, really, really makes it an annoying figure for myself in particular, and I think for other people as well, which is these back plates. So let's talk about head cannon first. Like, what do you guys think these are? Like, do you think these are natural part of his body, or are they somehow growing through his armor from his body, or are they just decoration on his armor? Uh, like are these, what are these plates? Are these organic or are these biomechanical? Or because for me it's really weird that he got, if these are part of him and he got these armor on. So how did he get the armor on in the first place? Like, does the armor already have holes that these plates can fit through? Uh, to me, that would maybe make more sense than them just being a part of the armor. But anyway, as far as design goes, they are part of the armor. They are not attached to his body. And unfortunately, they don't stay attached very, very good. There was a lot of cussing and screaming and swearing during the making of this video, because these things constantly fall off when you're trying to post this guy. This is why I'm barely moving him around for this video, because these things are not secure. Okay, look at that. Like, I barely touched it and it just flopped off. Now I got to, and since it came off anyway, see how short the peg is at the base of the plate? So this have to fit into a slot on the shoulder armor here. Every plate is keyed to a particular slot. So you can't just do whatever you want. They go in a certain order, um, which is very frustrating for a blind person at first. It took me a while to figure out which one goes where. Especially, like if they pop in nice and firm, then oh, okay, that works. But when they kind of just barely hanging on, then you're like, the did I do this wrong? Maybe this is not supposed to go here. Maybe this go there. No, it doesn't fit either. Okay, so just in case there's any blind, visually impaired people watching this, I'm going to say the two smaller plates go into the slot in the lower back. Okay, and then the biggest plate, the one that's the most triangular, go in the middle row, and then the one that have kind of a hooked end goes into his shoulder, the top of his shoulder, and that's how they're supposed to go. Uh, at least that's how I think. I think I got that right. I mean, maybe someone can if I got this wrong, someone can let me know. Maybe it's another one like the General Saros headpiece situation. Um, so yeah, like these things are extremely frustrating. Like even if you are just reaching to grab this figure and that's going to fall off like that, just like that, like your finger barely touched it and it just falls, and sometimes it go on the floor and then bounce off to God knows where. And if you're blind, it's such a pain in the ass to look for these things. Now I got to try to get this back in there. One tip I will give you is if you take the armor off of him, if you take the chest plate off of him and actually get all these pieces on while the armor is not on him, you are able to wedge them in a little bit tighter. Not by a lot, but it's a little bit more secure than trying to get them in while the armor is on his body. Honestly, I think the best way is to just super glue them in. I don't know how secure they'll be, but they'll be a lot better for when you have to pose this figure. Of course, the problem is if this guy ever take a dive off the shelf, every one of these plates is going to come off, no matter if you glue them in or not. Like honestly, I wish they would have found a way to just mold these plates in as part of the figure or part of the armor, or at least use longer ball pegs at the base of the plates so they would actually snap into place. So in the end, this is a really cool figure, really cool design, got a really cool weapon, uh, but the execution leaves a bit to be desired. Now let's have my final word as we look at some size comparison shots, and thank you again for checking out today's video. By the way, if you guys wondering why the video is coming out really slow, it's because I'm having a little bit of a crisis going on right now. The two artistic grants I depend on for paying rent and keeping myself going as a professional artist, both of them didn't come through this year. So now I'm having a little bit of a financial crisis, having to track down different funding for the rest of the year. Otherwise, I honestly I don't even have enough money to live after paying rent. So that is the major problem going on in my personal life right now. Um, so yeah, just be patient with me. I'm still here. I'm still making video. It just things are really crazy right now. Alright, I do want to apologize that I didn't get any really creative posing happening with Vasapo here. He is really frustrating to pose. Every time you move him, some of those back plates fall out, and then if they drop on the floor, you gotta crawl around looking for them, and if you happen to be totally blind like yours truly, let's just say there was a lot of screaming and cussing and unhappiness going on in this household. So I did my best to give you guys a view of him with some Mythic Legions and Blade Master Wang, the Marvel Select Abomination, various sizes, so you can see the general size of this guy. He is pretty big and pretty impressive looking, and generally speaking, I really liked this figure's design, but the execution is just not very good. And unless you're ready to glue the back plates in, I wouldn't really recommend this guy. He's just not fun to handle otherwise. Thank you for checking out today's review. Please like and subscribe and share. And if you like more of my content, please check out my blog over at johnnytigerexperience.blogspot.com.